New serious issue in our society is starting to get its power. Anti-intellectualism is the belief that the less a person is influenced by education, expertise, theory, and complexity, the more clearly they can see reality. But modern anti-intellectualism often doesn't reject influence itself, it only rejects certain kinds of influence. Someone can dismiss universities as places that impose ideology on people while never noticing that their own opinions are being shaped by an algorithm every single day. And that's precisely why independent thinking is much harder than it seems. It doesn't mean having no influences. Of course, it means being able to recognize and examine your own influences. Because people who consider themselves independent thinkers often use the same phrases. They have the same enemies and arrive at the same conclusions. We almost never experience conformity as conformity. From the inside, it simply feels like I just noticed what was obvious. And when everyone around us agrees, we stop seeing stop seeing it as social influence. We start calling it common sense. And common sense obviously has value. I see the problem when we start believing that anything we cannot immediately understand must be nonsense. That if we haven't experienced something ourselves, it probably isn't real. The opposition between thinking and action is also a false one. The real difference isn't between people who act and people who think. It's between people who are willing to tolerate complexity and those who experience complexity almost as a personal insult. Because reality is often more complicated than our own personal experience. There are things we simply cannot see until we understand their context. Sometimes we have to learn something. Sometimes we have to know the history. Sometimes we simply have to just listen. And perhaps truly independent thinking begins precisely when we are able to admit that the world may not look the same from inside another person's experience as it does from inside mine.